Okay, hi. I am going to do what I said I was going to do yesterday. In my head, I don't think I said it out loud. Anyways, I'm going to read my resume. This is my cover letter so we can understand women in the workforce, specifically this country and the issues here that need to be dealt with, need to be addressed. And I need to reach Donald Trump, need to get to the White House to address these matters. I hereby say that Donald Trump is not allowed to come to Canada until this is resolved, until the parting differences between the two countries are finally made different, even if we must go to England to get the authority from the politics over there because they preside over this country, then so be it. But my problem is nobody can afford me. Before I read this, I want to say the names of the people I had come to the decision of could afford at least bidding on getting me to work for them. I had decided over here in Canada that it would be Senator Patrick Brazeau or it would be Howie Mandel, who is from here, even if he's not living here. Also because I have the puppet Bobby, right? Bobby's name, I'm Bobby. So I'm like, good for the plane. I'm perfect for the plane, actually. I'm allowed on the plane. That's all I'm saying. So, then there is in the States, there would be, Jaron Lowenstein, musician, Johnny Depp, Tom Welling, who am I missing? Oh, maybe Keanu Reeves and Laurence Fishburn. So it's a tall order, but I fit that. And without further ado, I'll go on with my cover letter. Attention human resources, right? Or for any current employer. You will find my resume attached. In that, you won't find the extra bit of information that you need to know about my diverse experiences. I have worked malls like Totem Mall in Fort St. John, BC, St. Patel Center in Winnipeg, as well as Polo Park. I've worked plain clothes at Shoppers Drug Mart, and I've worked at an airport where I also dealt with parking and giving tickets. I have done access control in high-end condos and psych ward security in hospitals. I have worked major events like concerts and exhibitions. To name a few, Faith Hill concert, Gwen Stefani concert. I have worked at some of the best clubs in Canada. One of them, Whiskey Dicks in Winnipeg, and another one called the Sound Academy in Toronto in Cherry Beach. Just one of the concerts I worked in BC Place was for Gwen Stefani, as well as others just as famous as her after hers. I have worked with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, watching them, their children, and property, through a contract for a company that has offices in Winnipeg and Alberta known as Impact Security. I have worked on the TV set of Hannibal, starring Laurence Fishburne and Claire Danes, and just to add, I have shaken hands with Robin Williams in Vancouver. In closing, I have extensive experience, and I'm in my 40s, so seniority, based on life experience and maturity, places a very useful part in adding me to your team. I believe I would make a great fit for many establishments with the need of my relevant experience to their company hiring needs with my diverse experience as well as related interests professionally, and the fact that I know how to carry myself around very important people, whether it's a musician, movie star, or politician. So I invite you to contact me and look forward to communications from there. It also works to your benefit that I do look pretty good, whether in a suit or a uniform. I look forward to an opportunity for an interview to discuss further my other qualifications that would deem me quite suitable for employment at your establishment. Sincerely, Superwoman, aka Jennifer Cooley, which is my pen name. I will get to explaining why I did that eventually. But trust me, it's right. Everybody deserves a little bit of privacy, at least for a time in their life. So, that's the cover letter. Now, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to go hand out my resume 100 times. I'm not going to pound the pavement applying for jobs when I'm already the most qualified, overqualified. That in Ottawa society, my resume itself would make me the famous person here, the important person in this town. You know, they'd be like, wow, what is it like working for so-and-so and so-and-so, working such and such and such and such? It must be exciting. Oh, you have such an exciting life and career. The problem I'm dealing with is that nobody can afford me. I'm not $12 an hour. You can't pay me immigrant wages. You can't pay me refugee wages. See, the problem with Canada that needs to be addressed with Donald is that Canadians have gotten used to living below the poverty standards. They're below minimum wage standards. Out west, over 15 years ago, about 15 years ago, people were getting what they deserved to get in all its different tiers, from poor to high class, balancing everybody's housing standards. The houses are priced right in Vancouver because people are earning the right money for the house rates. Where in Ontario and other places, people are dying. They can't afford to own a house. They have to get co-signers and family members just to get a condo, never mind a house. Less than 40% of white people in population now remain in Toronto. The majority of it is from elsewhere, multicultural. And that is no longer Canada. That's no longer the city of Toronto. That's a problem. Over 250,000 Middle East people. I can't say which denomination because there's so many of them. Just 250,000 of them in the mainland in Toronto itself. Now, there's over 1 million across this country. And the people I go and see and talk to all over the place, everywhere, are having problems and complaining because we've lost our country. We've lost Canada. We've lost the place we know it to be. And we are not getting the priority sequences right for the work. I came to Ottawa because what I'm trying to do with the President of the United States or Queen Elizabeth and Buckingham Palace is get the right to be the first one authorized to carry a gun and a taser and have a bulletproof vest and have my armored car, so I can provide the best services for people coming and going. And train others to set a precedent for a new standard of women in the workforce, for body double work, etc. I believe firmly and will stand by the fact that Canada is overdue on changing its gun rights legislation, because there would be a lot more women and children alive if we had the right to store rifles in our trucks or carry them on our ankle. But I won't get into that in this video, but it does fit with my resume qualifications. I have had my gun license, but it's rather useless in Canada. You have to report to the chief of police, point A, where you're going point Z. You have to package it in a certain way and place it in a certain spot. So by the time I open the case and put the gun out and put the gun together and aim it at the person that needs to be shot at to protect the person I'm paid to protect, then everybody in the back seat could already be dead, right? The car could be blown up. We don't have bulletproof abilities. There is a tank in Winnipeg, a really cool tank. I'm not sure what it's made of, but that's the coolest thing I think I've seen this country bring across the border. So we need to keep going more in that order because of the massive, massive crime problems that are happening in Canada. The drug problems are just one of them. From January to March of this year alone, 750 people who have tried drugs. The reason I say tried drugs versus drug addicts is that they're all dead. People who do drugs long-term, big history, people that know what they're doing with drugs do not die. But people who are just messing around, going to parties, having a good time, popping something they don't know, well, they die. And so that's the biggest number of deaths in my life in this country I've ever witnessed happen in Canada for drug using. It's just never happened. In my lifetime, there would have been the odd person here and there. Usually there's a vendetta behind why a person ends up in that situation. Also, the lack of experience of getting people to do something like shooting you in the neck if you don't know the person you're giving the needed to has the experience to do that right. An air bubble gets in there, you're going to die, right? So I'm saying fentanyl is a problem in this country. It's a great advertisement for all this stuff that's in the paper talking about all these stories for that drug to push. But I'm not here to push. We shouldn't be here to push. It's about taking it off the market and making it practically impossible or impossible altogether for people to get. My resume and my job and my life experience is very, very valid. People like River Phoenix and Heath Ledger and Belushi would still be alive if my services had been available at the right time. And now I'm trying to help protect a certain few of you that need my skills, need what I offer, need what I know to keep you guys safe and keep your family safe. As you travel and go to bars and drink the odd beer here and there and somebody tries to throw you something, I have the ability to say, no, don't take that, take this, or don't take anything at all. And you know to trust me. So I'm going to go on to the next part. Objective in my resume. Seeking pleasant employment in a position change that will offer me new challenges. I'd like to go finish my gun license training over there, so then I'll be dual licensed, and then we can have it transferred over to England, so then I can work anywhere. We have to figure out who's going to give me the license once, instead of me having 3 different licenses of the same training. There's no money to make off of me doing that. But that's the thing we need to deal with. Okay, summary of qualifications. Flexible, dependable, conscientious, works well as a member of a team or independently without supervision. Eager to learn new skills and broaden horizons in any given position. Multitask, establish priorities and meet deadlines. Exercises initiative and assume responsibility. Communicates effectively orally and in writing. Yes, I type fast. I'm a writer. Been writing movies and poetry and songs for years, so of course I'm up to speed. Operated and drove school buses, automobiles, vans, light trucks, and semis. Recorded cargo information, distance traveled, fuel consumption, and other information in logbook or onboard computer. Communicated with dispatcher and other drivers using citizens' vans, CB radio, cellular telephone, and onboard computers. So I'm pretty much up to date on most tech. Different levels. I can go all the way back to the 8-track, right? So, other certification. I have my class 1 driver's license. I have my Life Saving Society ticket. Well, it's not active. I think that this year is the last summer or something. But I've done it, for working as a waiting pool attendant. So basically an outdoor lifeguard. I have done my first aid, and CPR since I was 9, nonstop. I have the Life Saving Society, which is the one I just read about, and Red Cross. For years I was for St. John's ambulance, but they're not recognized around the world. And Red Cross, where I can get work in 90 countries in the world. My goal here, if I can get myself work and get contract, I want to finish my Red Cross instructor's training. It's very expensive and time consuming, so that's kind of why I'm making this video. Serving it right, of course. BC Tourism Superhost Certification. So in other words, like a great tour guide, which is true for Canada. That's my backyard. So I did my basic security training level 1 and 2 in British Columbia through the Justice Institute, which is offered to the police force in Vancouver. So it's the best. They had the best. They probably still have the best standards in the country. It is the place for people to go to get their security licensing if they're going to be in a division that requires them having a card that shows that they're just a little bit above a citizen making a citizen's arrest. I have my self-defense certificate. I have child psychology, early childhood development through post-secondary correspondence. I have a creative writing certificate through correspondence as well. And I've been to acting school at 18 in Brandon, Manitoba. And the teacher pulled me aside and said, don't tell the others I said this. You have what it takes to make it. So I don't have to fake too much. What my real life is already saying it does, right? Okay, employment history. The last job I had was as waiting pool attendant in Toronto in 2015. So I'm going on 2 years without work because nobody can afford me. I'm willing to take a pay cut for certain other features being covered in the contract. Because a couple of you can't really afford me at $120,000 a year. Some of you may only be able to offer me $60,000 or $80,000, so you've got to cover other perks. I was working for VP Security for 6 months in 2013, 2014. Fortress Security, which is great. He's a great reference. I did like 8 months with him. He paid me the highest wages he had on the staff, but it was still beneath the kind of contract I'm needing to get. I have worked for Flagging Company. That was really high pay as well. Impala Security, Domcor, which is also flagging, not just security work. Ultimate Security, and Big Bus Tour Bus, Viper Security Workforce, just to name some of the things I've done. My actual real resume is like, I don't know, 6 pages long. The trucking company stuff and the frozen food stuff and the volunteering I've done at food banks and so on and so forth, right? But I have references here. I'm not going to read the references, but I'll mention names. Tammy Perka, Debbie Shia, John at Fortress. I have character references. Amantha from Fort St. John, if her number's still the same. Tracy Gregory, if I can reach her somewhere in Sudbury. And a friend here in Ottawa, Christine. And the people that approved me to move into where I am living right now would also make good references. So my problem is I need that to get out to people. I need people to watch this. I need people to comment and see what they can do to get me back up to the level where I should be, in the place I should be at. Because what Canada's doing, destroying itself, self-imploding. You don't keep the minimum wages low to make the rich richer. Because if real estate's the only thing you know and food's the only thing you know, you're going to run out of options. And eventually everybody's going to go into the sinkhole and there's going to be no money for anyone. There's going to be no way to get debt free. You have to raise the standards of living. You have to raise the standards of income to make everybody happy. $15 an hour should be basically the minimum across the country for everybody. But that said, security is a dangerous job. We're putting our lives at risk to protect your property, your family. We should get more than the minimum wage that should be across the board for everybody. So there's a point of being above minimum wage and what qualifications and skills renders these things. And that's my situation. I'm not just an average security guard. I didn't just get out of training school. So I'm above them. Anyways, contact me if you can help me. Contact me if you can get me to Donald. Contact me if anybody out there can get me to any of the names of people I just mentioned in this video. Specifically Howie Mandel. Tell him to come and get me and Bobby on the airplane here in Ottawa. I'd like to come take a trip over there in LA. I'm feeling lucky. So yeah, thanks guys for listening. There's lots to press upon, but I need to get to the right place and appeal to the right people to make a very important mandate about what I'm trying to set a precedent to that we're way overdue doing with the workforce in Canada and women in the workforce. Peace out. Thanks for listening. Now TV Canada, aka Superwoman, sign out.